can go first, Ghoul.
Oh, yeah, I'm Ghoul. I do a lot of Final Fantasy TCG content. Ghoul SRL on YouTube or Ghoul02 on Twitch.
I'm Maceyy, and I look at everything through different perspectives of trading card games because I play everything. And Maceyy on Twitch, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! And then started playing Final Fantasy 2020. Right, just in time for the new Prince.
Yeah, we got our first, which is a Knight, Garland, 2-cost backup. When Garland enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. You gain control of it until end of turn. I really like the cards, but I am against this going into the Knight's deck. I think this is just a good 2-drop. Either it's just a 2-drop that does nothing, or it's a 2-drop that can clear you a blocker. It's only till end of turn, so you don't get to keep the forward, but we've gotten a lot of self-sacrifice cards so far, which are very interesting.
I don't like the card, but that's purely because I think that so many things at this point have, like, if you want to steal a wall, they tap it in response, then it's just a useless card. Or other than, you know, the fact you made them tap it. And then when it comes down to other things, like in the Knights matchup, what are you going to steal? Ramza? Okay, they tap it 4 walls and do your point of damage and break something else. Like, it just, I feel like there's so many ways around this card that it's just never going to see play, in my opinion.
Card's generally pretty good, actually. I think the exact opposite. I think being able to unconditionally say that forward needs to use its stuff now or it's gone for a 2CP is a pretty low cost. And I think in the Knight's deck, there's no Knight support that cares about forward versus backup. Gawain searches this. You can play it off of Gorilla. You play with Gorilla. 2 backups is not bad for Knights to be on. And I think the Garland forward is actually like shockingly expendable. So I think it's a good card.
Really? That's the thing. I don't think so. I've utilized it a lot, but yeah, if you think obviously if you're not using the Garland forward, then yes, this is an amazing replacement.
I just think it's such a big difference that Ramza can use this as like an additional Knight, and like the ability to like go Gawain, get Steiner and Garland, and then immediately play the Garland is like pretty neat as well if you wanted to.
I guess I never took into consideration the fact it's actually a 2-drop backup, so, you know, if you whiff the Ramza Corella first turn, it's like, okay, I'll set up my Knights backups, and then I have the consistent tap rather than the, okay, let's see if what we get tap.
Yeah, but I feel if you're doing it early enough, you're kind of wasting the effect. That's the issue I'm having.
There's a lot of backups, though, that play in the meta that have, like, you'll do it for just because it's a 2CP backup. And if you run Vincent in your Limit Break deck, which we'll get to later, it's a free break for the Vincent as well.
That I didn't think about, actually. Alright. Let's go to the next one. Chaos, our special boy. 5-cost forward, 9k Brave. When Chaos enters the field, you may search for a card named Bahamut and add it to your hand. And during this turn, the next card you cast named Bahamut is reduced by 5. When Chaos is put into the field from the field into the break zone, you may discard 3 cards. When you do so, play Chaos from the break zone onto the field dull. I really love this card. And I'm thinking with the way Mono Red or Red X is going, with all the summon effects and some later cards we'll see from this set, I think this is an amazing card. And 9k Brave is not a small body to sneeze at. Also, discarding 3 cards to replay him to get a Bahamut, to cast the Bahamut, emptying your hand, activate Minwoo. Yeah, I'm loving the way this card reads.
I mean, yeah, it's generally really strong. I think the only like downside is it is kind of expensive. I mean, it does replace itself with summon, but you're immediately using the summon, so it's like a 5k Brave. It's like a little sticky that kills something the turn it comes into play. For the low cost of playing Bahamuts in your fire deck.
The only other issue I see with the cards initially is the only real meta deck with the mono fire going around at the moment is Megissa, and to be honest, I don't feel like it has a place in Megissa, because you either choose this over the Tavis, and I feel like the Tavis just gives you unmeasurable value over this card, because, you know, you search out the Bahamut and it's just searching for the kill spell, but Megissa is more, you know, trying to control the field with ping effects and everything like that.
Well, I feel this is opening the way for new decks in red, but that's something I guess we'll see in the meta coming up.
I played against this 3 times today, and I didn't see the value of it, but I don't think, well constructed versus limited is very, very different.
Alright. Full art. 4 cost Kane forward 7k. Haste first strike. When Kane attacks all forwards with haste or first strike, you control get plus 2k power until end of turn. Double jump special fire. Choose 1 forward, deal it 8k damage. I love this card. I love the way it reads. It's just I do not see a home for it. It's very cute. I think it's... I've always been of the conflict where fire and lightning sort of share too much in common with each other as elements. And I still feel that lightning is the haste deck more than fire is. This might be the thing to change that, but I also don't see that happening. What do you guys think?
Fire's had haste since, like, what, Opus 1 with, like, the backup that just gives haste to a forward when you play it?
Yeah, but so has lightning.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, they just both have haste. I mean, that's... You can share things. That's pretty normal, even in card games that do have color pies. You know, that... If we're talking Magic, for instance, blue and white both now have vigilance as part of the color pie, for instance. Pretty normal. For me, the card is pure limited fodder. There's no place for this in constructive anymore. Might have been in the first, 6 to 8 sets of the game, but we're way past this.
I think this is the best limited card printed. Like, today, I saw everybody have at least one of these on the field at all times, and it was putting in work.
Yeah, very good.
See beyond that, yeah.
I've got another card I think is the best card in the set in limited, but this one's very strong.
I think this also paves the way for maybe a Lightning Fire Dragoon deck, because Dragoons primarily have haste. So if you can fit in a way of making sure the things, but I think the Dragoons by itself is already a really strong deck without this card.
I mean, like, for that argument though, it's like Dragoons have Barbara, which gives all of your Dragoons haste, and like you can pay 1 to do, like, give them 1k power, and Barbara gets cut a lot from Dragoon decks. Like, one single fire card doesn't make you play fire.
Oh yeah, but that's why I said it paves the way. Like, you could be able to get more Dragoon coming up, but yeah, it's the right card in the wrong color.
Alright, next one. Kefka, 3 cost forward 7k. When Kefka attacks, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 4k damage. Damage 5, Kefka gains 2k power haste, and if Kefka deals damage to a forward opponent, double that damage. I love it. It's just... I really wish that was damage 3 versus damage 5. Doing 8k on swing with a 9k body is amazing for 3, but
and
I feel
also a 9k body that hits for 2 damage if it connects. And trades up with 10ks.
Yeah. I just really wish it was active a lot earlier than in the game than it would be. I still think this is an amazing card. I love the flavor on this. I love the way this reads. I just feel that if you're dropping this too early, it's not doing much. It's definitely a finisher.
Megissa now has the card to push itself forward in the late game when it needs something to clear things, and this will be running in my Megissa deck without a doubt. Yeah. At least as a 2-of.
I mean, my fear on Megissa decks is if Megissa's on damage 5, Megissa's probably lost the game.
Yeah, that is also true, but with Tavis and thing, well, with the typical Megissa deck, from what I've seen going around the meta at the moment, they are running more of the warrior Megissa, and I feel like you can take a little bit extra damage with that. Like, when I'm playing Megissa, I'm averaging about 3 to 4 damage. I just I seem to lose the game if I get to 5 or 6. So I'm hoping that by this card, having the ability to kill something straight away that doesn't evolve me, like top decking an Ifrit or something, makes me seem a little bit happier, but all time will tell with playtesting.
Yeah, like I said, I wish the damage threshold was just a little bit lower, like 4 or 3. But they seem to be sticking to the theme of 3 or 5.
I like it a lot in the Cat 6 deck. Dataluma also can self-damage you to help you get up.
Oh, yeah, Cat 6 in this is going to be really interesting. The thing I'm having trouble with is what to cut for it, which I am. I'm cutting something for it. That says a lot. But I'm just sitting there going, what do I cut? How do I fit this in? I want to shove you in. But I hope that this card brings Cat 6 back into the limelight, because I feel Cat 6 sort of fell off there for a bit. So I am really hoping this is the card that gets it back into the rotation of things. That's the full art. And blue. We've had blue bears, now we have red bears. Ghoul bears, 5 cost 9k forward. Dull, deal 5k damage to all forwards opponent controls. Red dull, choose one forward in your break zone, add it to your hand. You can only use this ability once per turn. 2 red, 1 generic. Dull, choose one forward, break it. I am in love with this card. For a rare, I think it's really good. There's a lot of synergy you can do with it. There's some fun stuff. Its one weakness is the term summoning sickness.
Yeah, this is like top 3 limited cards ever printed. Just does not have a home in constructed, because I don't think you can sit on a 5 CP, do nothing for a turn.
Yeah, like I said, the summoning sickness term, and even in red, which has a lot of haste giving abilities, you're then at least using 6 to 7, I believe. 1 Belly S is 1 cost, 1 Belly S is 2 cost.
Yeah.
Or the backups, which are dull, it, and another backup for fire. So, yeah.
The cheapest thing is the goblins. You could use the goblin package, 1 CP, give it haste, draw a card, so like it's literally a 1 CP haste giver. But even with that, your goblins are limited, and there's stuff you can enable that's just wildly
better
if you're doing that.
Yeah.
Like you have Min Loop in the last set. If you really wanted to give something ludicrous haste.
Yeah, I think
this did win a game for me today.
Yeah,
against red. I tapped it, dealt 5k to the board, used the new Ashura, untapped it, tapped it again, 10k to board, win the game.
Yeah, no, absurd and limited.
Yeah. Which I'm kind of glad they are doing stuff for limited, but it also just means we're getting some less power creep stuff. But anyways, we got 2 cost Soul Cage, monster. If you control 2 or more monsters, Soul Cage also becomes a forward with 9k power. When Soul Cage is put from the field into the break zone, you may remove Soul Cage from the game. When you do so, choose one monster in your break zone, add it to your hand. This is part of a 6-color cycle of monsters, which all do the same thing at the top. If you have 2 or more monsters, they are active. I'll probably skip that for the rest of them. But yeah, monster recursion I think's really good on a 9k body. And it's in the right colors.
Yeah, this card's absurd.
Yeah.
I also have a certain fondness for this card, so I hope it's good.
I gotta think that Final Fantasy has made the mistake where they've given us all these monsters, but no way of killing the monsters. So monsters is just going to be strong at this point in time.
Yeah, but I do think that the current monster decks have such limited space in them with the core that not all of them are going to make the cut. So we have a bunch of these monsters that are really cool and powerful, but they might not make the cut of the deck list.
It is nice this one at least is always vulnerable if it's live. Like if they have 1 monster, you don't care this thing exists. If they have 2 or more, you can attack it. I don't know why the body's so big. I don't know why this needs to be a 2CP 9k.
Yeah.
That one doesn't track with me at all. This is such a low bar to meet for a 2CP 9k that floats.
No, I love the Soul Cage. It's one of my favorite ones.
Can this be searched out with a new Zidane?
No, Zidane only gets forwards.
Forwards,
Okay,
isn't it? Yeah.
I thought it might be characters. I was like, okay, that might be actually quite strong then.
Yeah. It's funny, for limited, I think Zidane has exactly 2 targets in the set, and one of them is also a hero.
Yeah. We got the Samurai, which is a reprint, so we'll skip that. And speaking of which, we got the Zidane. 4-cost forward 5k. When Zidane enters the field, you may search for 2 category 9 forwards with different name other than card name Zidane and add them to your hand. I've loved almost every Zidane that has come out. It's not changed now. There is some really cool interaction and combos you can do with this. It's essentially a 0 cost because you're searching for 2 cards. You can really turn on some combos for 9. You can do a lot of stuff. I just wish it didn't name clash. But it is also a 5k body that is probably going to die relatively soon. So running this and another Zidane that you want to be your main one might not be the worst deck building wise. Otherwise, just a solid card, and I've seen some really cool shenanigans that you can do with it, and I've been actually getting more and more impressed with it as we go along. I just really do not like card named Zidane.
I was gonna say, loved Zidane. I have a very different relationship with Zidane cards over the years, but card's really good. Searches, the most obvious home at the moment is Black Mages, but lots of other places he could show up for sure.
Do you think this will bring Black Mages into the spotlight?
I mean, I think people would have to playtest the deck for it to happen. I mean, we had one top the Dallas Materia Cup. It was Water, Fire, Black Mages? Water, Fire, Lightning, Black Mages topped in Dallas at the Materia Cup there. It was second after Swiss, or third after Swiss. It was undefeated until the last round. I think there's a chance for it as like an anti-meta call if stuff like Refia continues to be a big deal. It has an okay-ish matchup into Knights because so many Knights cost 2. So you could just play Waltz 2 and then just go Machine Gun down Lastwell and everybody else. But I also know that, like, I don't know that the best players are going to be practicing or playing Black Waltzes, which is going to deflate the number of, like, top cut representation you see for the deck.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was just wondering if your perspective was a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm under the same boat as what Ghoul says. Like, there's no representation of it, so we can't really see how the deck's actually going to perform.
yeah, but the one player that played it did do very well with it, so
Not going to discount it completely.
yeah, and this is a ridiculous support card for that deck. You need to find multiple names for it to work, and this does it by itself for free.
Yeah. Alright, now here's the one I've been interested in to get your opinion, guys. 2-cost Zorn and Thorn, forward 5k. When Zorn and Thorn enter the field or attack, choose one forward opponent controls. It gains, if possible, this forward must block until end of turn. When Zorn and Thorn is put from the field into the break zone, you may search for one monster of cost 2 or less, play it onto the field. I see a lot of potential in this card. I am really interested with its wording. I'm really interested with the way it plays. I love that it is a weak body on a card you kind of want to die. And the fact that it replaces itself with a 2-cost or less monster immediately is really cool. I'm just having trouble seeing where the plays come in. Because what situation will you be in where you will force the block? Especially because Monster seems to want to get around the forwards, not go through them. But I don't know, I think this card is really cool. I'm really hot on most fire cards. What do you guys think?
Clearly decent. I wish it wasn't mandatory to choose something, because like when he attacks, it means if your opponent has a 5k forward, you have to like sacrifice these 2, which like is kind of not ideal. Like if your opponent has any blocker, you literally don't have a choice to attack with it. So like there's going to be board states where it's like, well, this effectively just turns into a monster after the end of combat. I don't really love. It is cool. You can cheat its almost into play with it, which is broken. But
Well, the thing I will give it is it search for a monster of 2 cost or less, not a fire monster of 2 cost or less.
Yeah, you could cheat its almost into play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the other problem is just space. Realm decks are very, very tight.
Yeah. Like we were saying, the core for that deck is just so packed.
I mean, just because you need to fit in, 12-ish monsters in your deck, how much more do you have for kind of a weenie forward that can't actually win the game for you? When you could just play the 2-cost monster instead. It's like, that's the other thing. It's like, let's say if this dies and you replace it with the blue one, you could have just played a blue one. So you need to be able to make value out of the attack trigger.
I guess this could help you splash outside color monster into red that's not running a full monster package. But again, does that deck really exist?
If you're playing monsters, you're playing realms, so you're in water no matter what. So
you think it's go full monsters or don't do it at all?
I mean, I guess that is the other argument, is if you play this in a deck that is not playing a bunch of monsters. Like you said, if you're just a mono fire deck that has 2 copies of a Tomos, and you just want to get this guy to die so you can play a Tomos from your deck, because you want access to that card, but you don't have access to wind.
That's one. Yeah, I'm thinking some examples like that. I think there's more than just that as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just having trouble seeing that deck. And it could just be because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't exist now. It could after this.
Maceyy, what do you think?
I was just looking through some of the Megissa lists, and I don't think it's worth running in the Megissa list, but the only thing I can think of at the moment is you run it, then you can manipulate to kill it, swing with it, tell your opponent to block Zorn and Thorn, get out Hedgehog Pie, and then you can get your Hedgehog Pie set up for Megissa, but yet again, I don't think it fits. I think it's a good card, I just don't think it fits with anything that we've currently got going at the moment, and there are better monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, they're better cards to set up monsters, as Ghoul was saying. Most of the monsters that are relevant in the meta at the moment are 2-drops, so you're playing a card to get it. You could possibly get out Atomos if you don't have the search for Atomos, but yet again, you got Realm to do that, and you've got every other card to do that.
Yeah, I think we're fairly agree on this one then. 2-cost soldier candidate, standard unit forward 5k, first strike. If you have 2 or more job standard unit forwards in your break zone, soldier candidate gets plus 3k power. This is part of a cycle that we may sort of just brush over. We might want to talk about the whole cycle in the one go. They each have a different keyword, and they each get a different effect based on if you have 2 or more. Oh no, they all get the pump, don't they? If you have 2 or more. I think the water one also gets an extra effect, but yeah, go on.
I say broken and limited, unplayable elsewhere.
I don't know. I the old standard unit standard player in me wants to say no. There's hope, but there isn't. I want there to be, and I'm hoping to maybe make that work with some experimentation. But I also know you're right. I just really want to hold on to hope.
There's not a single meta deck playing a standard unit forward right now.
Yeah, and I don't think the new card in Earth, when we get to it, will fix that.
Vikings also just don't need this card.
Yeah. Alright, we'll move on. Here's the good one. 5 costs, Terra, forward, 5k EX burst. When Terra enters the field or is put from the field into the break zone, choose one summon in your break zone, add it to your hand. During this turn, the cost required to cast your next summon is reduced by 2. It cannot become 0. All summons in your break zone cannot be removed from the game by your opponent's effects. Opponent's abilities, summons or abilities. I think this is amazing. I've loved this card since it was spoiled. I've been looking at every deck that runs red and where I can try and shove it in. Some places it fits, some places it doesn't. I've stated that my favorite idea with this Terra is to play it, get back a summon, cast that summon for cheap, cast the the Ifrit that's 0 cost if you've played a fire forward this turn. You can recur it. It's easy to die. If it doesn't die, you're just protecting your bin. Bring back an Ami for later, even if you don't want to use the reduced cost immediately. Bring back an Ami, cast something else for the reduced cost because it doesn't say the summon you return. It's worded really well. It does a bunch of things. It ticks off a bunch of boxes, if not all the boxes. I'm really hyped for this card.
How much damage does Warrior of Light do? The 4-color
5K.
Warrior of Light?
5k.
I wonder if that's relevant at all.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not saying it's indestructible, but
No, I'm saying
You
it's
kill
a
your own
positive.
oh, you kill your
Sorry.
own one. Yeah. I heard someone say. Yeah, that was actually no, that was you, Ghoul.
It was
You
me.
told
It was me.
This one. Oh, I think it was both of you then.
I think this is the best playoff of 5 backups after you play a Warrior of Light. You play this for 3 backups, cast a summon for 1. On your opponent's turn, they do something. You ping this off with your own Warrior of Light on your roster.
Yeah.
For the last backup. Like, it's absurd. It's so strong.
Yeah.
You can't Amaterasu her, you can't Miss Dragon her. Like, there's no way to interact with that entry effect positively.
Well, you can Ami the entry and death effect, right? And you can also miss Dragon. That's the weakness.
Yeah,
of it.
you can no, you can't Miss Dragon. All summons in the breakstone cannot be removed. from your
Oh,
opponent's
right.
ability.
Oh, I thought when she dies you could miss Dragon.
Yeah, you can do that when she dies.
Yeah.
But
That's
like,
still
if-
only one of 2. Yeah.
And if you play her, if your opponent Amaterasu's her to stop you from getting a summon, she dies, so you get a summon back. So you can't Amaterasu
Oh,
her,
it's
you
like,
can't Miss Dragon.
the way the Fire Faris works, that even if you Ami the Faris, they still get 1 trigger.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, this card ticks so many boxes, and I'm so hyped for it, and I really want 3 of them. Maceyy, what about you?
I'm a wait and see because I understand what you guys are saying about it. I just need to see it in action before I like set my mind to it because I think it might be just a tad expensive for what it is, and I can't. I've been trying since I got home today from pre-release to put this in a deck, like just a mono fire throw summons at your opponent deck, and I don't. No, I can't figure out the list for it, but I'm gonna try.
Oh, I'm definitely going to do something with this if I can get 3 early enough in the release next week.
I used to play a lot of Rydia, even before I knew Paul. The amount of times I used to throw Yang at the 2CP form that gets back a summon when she dies, and have that win me the game, is a ridiculous number of times. This card is really strong, and the burst is absurd.
Yeah, and if you are playing a Rydia deck, then you've gotten a reduced cost, a free cost, and yeah, it's this to me is, I think, one of, if not the peak in the set, at least for me personally. But as I said,
kind of saw it in full art.
oh yeah.
My
But-
pick's I think coming up soon.
So we've got 3 cost Tifa, forward 7k. When a forward damaged by Tifa is put from the field into the break zone on the same turn, gain a crystal. When Tifa attacks, choose one forward, deal it 2k damage. Pay a crystal until end of turn. Tifa gains 2k power and haste. I'm not really got much opinions on this card. I don't know if it's... I'm a crystal player and I'm really not liking this. Problem I have with crystals is... they're gain something later versus gain something now, and the fact that she doesn't even make the crystal on entry, can't even give herself the haste on entry. Like, I get why, but I also feel it makes the card bad. What about you guys?
This is good for limited and nothing else.
I don't even think it's good for limited, I'll be honest.
Fire has nothing else to spend a crystal in limited. So if you draft a samurai, you might as well use this.
Yeah. Yeah. 9k haste with
9k haste or does 2k, so now you can trade up with anything, with the 9ks in the set. Like, it's good in limited, it's not good anywhere else.
This is good with the cane from earlier. That's it. Make it an 11k go through anything.
Yeah, but I still feel you need the crystal to make this good, and you're not always guaranteed the crystal. But I guess if you're drafting, then it depends how good a drafter you are.
I mean, it's just like there is no other crystal spender in fire, so that's like the only niche this card will ever see.
Yeah. Nah, I think we're fairly solid on that one. 1 cost Moro backup, damage 5. When Moro enters the field, choose 1 forward, deal at 9k damage. Does something cool way too late in the game. I know it's 1 cost for 9k damage, and that's why people have been putting it to me, but your backup line might be tapped by that point. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this card. It reads well, but I have a feeling it just isn't good.
Low floor, I'm not going to hit its ceiling very often. I don't think it's going to see too much play. Fire breaks its backups a lot, which is nice. You could go like Vincent, tap your last backup, play this, pop 2 things for 9k.
Yeah, but you have to be damage 5 again.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. That, like, your backups, if you're in mono fire, you're not necessarily going to be full on backups no matter what you do. You can be on 5 backups and break one for a positive effect pretty easily in fire. So, and then the floor is, it's an evoker. You know, those are fine.
Yeah.
I like this card purely on the fact that, as Ghoul just said, it's you can use it just as a breaking mechanic. Vermilion Bird, break 3 backups. And if you get it late enough in the game, it is that 9k break. It will help you hit the 5 backups really quickly for the monthly onus as well, in the limit break.
I'm also the type of person that just wasn't hot on monthly onus, but I could be wrong there. Alright, oh, I think this is the one we're all going to enjoy. 2 cost, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Nelapa. Forward 5k. Whenever your opponent casts a summon, select up to 2 of the following 2 actions. Choose 1 forward, deal at 10k damage. Nepal deals your opponent 1 point of damage. I think this is a really amazing tech card. We are in a format where we're seeing a lot of summons come at you quick. Being able to punish your opponent is amazing for them casting summons. I know the first summon they play is probably going to be targeting this, so their other summons don't trigger the effect, but that makes it a lure, which is not a bad thing, I think. Also, dealing 10k could be relevant, especially with Warrior of Light, the 4-color one. It's nothing to sneeze at. I think it's a really cool tech card. I wish it was a little bit thicker body, but it's a 2 cost, so you can't really have everything. And I do like that it's select up to 2 of 2. So if, you know, there's not a good option out there, you can only select one of them. You can only select one of them, so you're not punished for it, like something like Lena Backup. Also, the only thing I can see punishing you is obviously most of the summon decks run high EX burst counts. But I think getting that extra point of damage is really good. Also, if your opponent is on 6 damage, they essentially are not allowed to cast summons.
I mean, my question: how many of these can you afford to like realistically play?
2?
2, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the coolest thing about this is you're unarcable while this is on field.
Yes, that is a very good point.
Yeah.
If your opponent arcs it, you take the 10k, you apply it to the target of the arc. You don't discard the 2 points of the 2 cards for it. This arc says you break it forward. You take
Yeah,
a
it has to have
point.
the legal target in order to resolve the full effect.
So that's very fun.
Wait, oh, sorry, I'm just confused. So you choose a forward, deal at 10k.
So you
target
target
itself.
Yeah, no. You target the forward being targeted by arc.
Yeah, okay.
Which is probably itself.
Yeah.
Fair point.
That's the part that threw me off. You said target the forward that's being targeted by arc. I'm like, no, you just kill it. You just kill Nepal because it's probably the target.
Yeah, while dealing your opponent a point of damage.
Yeah.
So
You just replace the discard 2 with your opponent takes a point of damage, which is still pretty nice.
Yeah, this is the kind of card that makes me wish FF had sideboards. But yeah, you'd run it main. I'd say 2.
I think that this is also the stop to Rydia, because I hate seeing Rydia every week.
Yeah, but we have a very specific locals with Paul.
Spoilers, Rydia doesn't see play anywhere else.
Yeah, I know.
I
but
know.
being
We
it
see
so
every week.
consistent, being it such a consistent thing, like, you've got to adapt to your not locals meta, but you got to adapt to your country's meta.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
America doesn't really see knights. Australia sees knights bloody everywhere.
That's not true for America. There's a lot of knights players in them.
Oh, so you were wrong, Red, then, because you told me there were no knights players.
Well, I'm saying it's not as successful there. It's not
Yeah.
destroying as much as it's destroying here.
But,
It did finally win a Materia Cup in
Yeah,
Canada.
it got its first big one in NA, yeah.
Well, I'm just hoping that this card slows down a lot of summon decks with like Mind Flayer, Remora, Leviathan.
Arc.
Oh, this stops Chaos Arc, which is nice too.
Yeah, like it stops. Like this can slow down a lot of the really prominent decks in the meta, which I think is what makes it very important.
There's another card that's un-Amaterasu-able, which is always funny.
Explain.
You cast a summon. Nalapa goes on the stack. Your
Yeah.
opponent Amaterasu's Nalapa.
You get to use it on top.
Nalapa
Yeah.
goes on the stack.
Yeah, so they'll get rid of the first one, but then you'll get a second one replacement, and because it's 2 effects, and you can only AMI one of them, your net gain is 3.
No. You're gonna get both. When you Amaterasu, you would get both effects.
You get
just
both?
can't Amaterasu.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's one ability. If you cancel this,
alright.
it's one ability. You would cancel the entire ability, but because you're casting a summon,
yeah, because it's select, not choose.
yeah,
Most charms are 2 separate multiple effects. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
this
yeah.
counts as one single one. All right.
it's a single
Good to
auto.
know.
So if your opponent has an Ishtola on field and they cancel Nalapa, you'll cancel both of the effects.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of anti-amis, which is interesting. The next one is Natsugo. 1 cost monster. Put Natsugo and 1 monster into the break zone. Choose one forward. Opponent controls. Deal at 9k damage. I feel this is a monster for limited more than anything. As much as I love getting rid of dead monsters, monster decks don't really run dead monsters. At best, you attack with a blue worm, then sack it and a blue worm to kill something else, but there's another card that does something similar to this, which I think is better, that automatically replaces it. Really cool idea. I love this cycle of monsters. There's a full cycle of them in this set. I just think paying 2 monsters to do 1 effect is not as cost effective as a lot of the other stuff monsters do right now.
I mean, you're 2 for 1 yourself. That's inherently a downside.
Yeah.
Even if the 2 cards you're playing were basically, a 1 CP monster and a monster that already did what you wanted to do, you're still investing 2 resources into removing one of your opponents, which is a big downside. There's a reason, like the Kefka, that you sack 3 of your things to pop 1 of theirs. Doesn't see a lot of play anymore.
And even then, that Kefka was used with a lot of effects where when something dies, do something, so you were able to at least get value back, where this doesn't really generate that.
Yeah, unless the monster does something when it dies. You could do it with Soul Cage and get back on Tsuga, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, but I think that's more fun than practical.
Outside of limited, yeah.
Yeah. Maceyy?
There's a card coming up in Water that this card just works with, for 1 being a 7k pinger, but yet again, it matters if it's on the field. By itself, I don't think it's a playable card, but with other cards, I think that it might have the chance to be thing. I just don't know where you would fit it in the deck list.
Alright, well, we'll continue the reviews, see if you can change our minds on that. I'll be curious to see that. Next is our Bahamut, 5 cost summon. Choose 1 forward with 9k power or less and up to 1 forward in your opponent's break zone. Remove it from the game. I know it's a 5 cost, but I actually like this summon. I like the idea of removing stuff from break zone. I love the idea of moving stuff from break zone at instant speed. But yeah, costs 5 and downing Chaos. I don't know if that 5 is worth the 9k, especially when I think you can do something similar with other other summons. But I love the way this reads. I actually am really interested in this card, and I might start using it just for fun. But probably I see myself cutting it after a few tries, going there's something better I can put in its place.
I mean, it's a great Kaya target to have as a one of in your deck. When you think it's going to be relevant. It is really nice. It's kind of like a second Amaterasu against an Alizé, for instance. They play the Alizé. You target this and the Y'shtola, and they both get RFG, so they get no value off of it. but it is very expensive for what it is.
It's a one of in the Caius deck, I think. There are better Bahamut's that do.
There are better
The same
summons
thing.
in fire, I think, in general.
Well, talking through Chaos, the better Bahamut's that do 10k damage instead of 9. The remove forward in your opponent's break zones. Good.
Yeah, and at that point, if you're using it with Chaos, you're not using it at your opponent's response, and it loses the instant speed factor. Which...
It's an amazing full art, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I'll show you that quickly now. Yeah, the full art's beautiful.
You got the little Knight Pluto running away and all kinds of stuff. It's so good.
Yeah. 2-cost Parai, forward warrior 5k. When Parai enters the field, you may receive 1 point of damage. When you do so, search for one category FFL character and add it to your hand. I'm not too hot on this card. I've been told I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, but I'm not too hot. I think this should have just been closer to a cycle. Closer to a cycle where you just search normally, or a backup that searches. I do like that it's character, not forward, but 1 point of damage, even though damage is a resource. I don't know. I cannot see where this could fit or work.
Really?
I can't see it, and I'm willing to be proven wrong. I've not really worked with FFL very much. I know it can search up a lot of the Warrior of Light stuff.
Nope, searches up Warrior of Darkness.
It searches both, but you can't think of a certain fire, water, nighty boy that this will search for you.
Gawain.
It still lets you get a Corilla off on the same turn. You can go Parai, Gawain, Corilla in the same turn. I think you can Parai, Corilla, or Parai,
Can you?
Gawain, Ramza, Corilla in the same turn, even if you go second.
Yeah, RB side just said, yeah, search for Sarah FFL. Okay. Do you have enough to do that, though?
Yep, you do. Because Parai is free, so you go 6 cards to 5. Gawain is free, you have 4. 4 cards, you ditch the last 3 when you play the Corilla in hand. That gives you Corilla, Parai, Gawain, and the 2 hits off of the Corilla. If you go second, you can go Parai, Gawain, Ramza, Corilla.
Why would you take out a Knights for it?
You can cut any of the fire backups that are like searchers. You can maybe go down a bit on your first. There's like the Miwa, for instance, you could potentially cut. Yeah, no, this card is very strong.
You know what? I'm wrong. I'll take that. I'll take that hit. No, not too proud. But wow, yeah, I did not even think of that. I did not even realize that. Yeah, Gawain is FFL.
Yep.
But yeah, all right. I'm seeing the potential.
Sometimes you'll see decks running stuff like Ovelia. You can cut that for this. You can cut the Cullens that you see sometimes. Yeah, no. This card is very, very obnoxious.
And it's a warrior.
Yeah. Randomly, the Gigawall Tyvis deck would play this as well as a 1-up. You could search it off with the Tyvis to go get Sarah FL to get you Gigawall and a 4-color Warrior of Light.
We have Braden saying Miwa must stay.
But yeah, I mean, it's at least a 1-of in Knights, if not a 2 or 3-of. It's at least a 1-of in Gigawall. If the Gigawall package is on the Warriors.
Yeah.
I don't think you play this with Warriors of Darkness because Warriors of Darkness doesn't want fire.
Still, okay, yeah, I did not even think of those lines. I'm reeling right now.
This is turn 1. You can have 5 forwards, including a Laswell and a Charlotte, thanks to this little guy.
And all you do is take a point of damage. I'll take that any day.
You don't care about taking damage with Knights.
Yeah.
When does it ever matter if you're on damage 5 or damage 6?
It does for Miwa, which puts you if you're on damage 5. So yeah.
I guess. I don't think it's gonna matter in this situation. But yes.
Maceyy, you're liking this with WOD? What are your
I'm
what are your plans?
trying
with
to
that?
see if I can fit it in the Soiree WOD deck I was making, but I don't know. I still like it in Tavis.
I mean, in
somewhat.
theory, the thing about Warriors of Darkness is really the package can be mono Earth. That's why the Retainer Warrior of Darkness package exists. You could run Warrior of Darkness, where you play like the Tyvis package next to the Noct. There's like the Noct packages. You just run like 3 Kolka, 3 Noct, 3 Diana, 2 Alba, 3 Glaive. That's all you need for that deck. None of it requires lights. So you could play Fire Earth, Warrior of Darkness.
We also have Tyro in Earth, which does help, but obviously, yeah, you have Tyro in Earth, which helps with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would be on 3 Kolka instead most of the time, like before I went to Tyro. But yeah, that's another option. Yeah, a lot of people that play Warriors of Darkness play Earth Wind, and you could do instead of Earth Wind or Earth Fire for sure. But I guess what gives you Bosch access, Bosch can then get you into either Tyvis or not, depending on the situation.
Yeah, this has opened up a lot of deck ideas that I didn't even think about. No, alright, I'm convinced. Hey, I'm not unreasonable. Anyway, next card is 2-cost Palom, forward 5k. If you control a card named Porom, the cost required to cast Palom is reduced by 2. The forwards with the 2 or more experience counters, or EXP I should say, counters on them, you control get plus 2k power. When Palom enters the field, choose one forward, place 2 EXP counters on it. I haven't seen the Palom Porom deck played much, but I do love that this can be played to support the Water Apprentice Mage from the other set, the Blanca. I also like that my experience counters on my Warrior of Light, on my Barts, that's going to be an Apprentice Mage, may actually be useful now, but that deck was niche as it was. I think it's good, but I don't know if it replaces the other Palom Porom, the other 2-cost ones, the dual pair that blank and deal 8k damage.
Nothing said anything about having to be an Apprentice Mage. It's just put 2 counters on any forward and they get plus 2k.
Yeah, but is that worth losing the other ones?
I mean, it's gonna matter for limited. In constructed, the 2k buff is tied to Palom being on the field. So if it's a problem, your opponent can just remove the Palom and the buff goes away.
Yeah.
However, there's nothing that says you have to play this in Fire. This is a colorless card if you control Porom.
Yeah.
I think the Porom is like my most wanted full art in the set. The card is adorable. I also think she's better than Palom because the difference between, if you look at the old Palom and Porom, Palom with 3 counters goes from being bad to being really strong, and Porom goes from being really strong to really strong. So the difference, like the difference between a powered up Palom is Palom, it becomes a removal machine. Porom needs something else to actually start removing. She just kind of stops your opponent from being able to attack potentially.
So you're thinking run the other fire one and run the water cycle of this one?
Yeah, I would run the water one. I mean, you could play it in mono fire. You play the cascade backup.
Yeah, as well, because as you said, they cost 0. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it's not even like in mono fire, you don't even need like, mono water, you kind of want nothing but water cards in your deck if you can for Lena. There's not even that restriction on this card because nothing in fire needs just fire cards. Breaks.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, I don't think these are bad or good. I think they're just tech. They're going to be unique and useful based on what you're trying to do. And yeah, as Arby said, you can run both. Technically, you can run both of these Paloms, both of the other Poroms as well, and muck around with that.
There's an on-zero chance you just run 6 Paloms, 6 Poroms, and 2 Leonoras and call it a day.
Yeah. Just mono Apprentice Mages. Yeah, so I'll be curious to see how this one and the other one work out. Like I said, I do like this card. I do like the way it reads. I do like what it does. I'm just not sure. I still like the other ones better. Maceyy?
Yeah, I think it's going to be seen I think it might actually be seen playing as a play as a colorless card, but I think it will be Palom being used and Porum being a colorless card in mono red. From what I've been like scouting out people doing their decks and stuff, it's mostly mono red running Palom with the Porum as a colorless card.
Yeah. The other thing about these is, like, obviously if the Palom and Porum from those 15 are powered up, they're way better. But that takes 2 turns to power them up. This powers up the other twin in a single turn. So I would take one twin being powered up in 1 turn usually over having both twins powered up in 2.
So you think we're going to see alternate pairs mostly?
I think that it's better unless you know you have time.
Yeah.
You may play both. Like I said, I think that both twins have arguments, and they're both good.
Like I said, I think this is tech more than yes or no.
I know I keep bringing up this card, but you know this does also buff Rydia, gives Rydia the counters every time a Cat 4 enters. So you play 1 and then you give Rydia essentially 4 counters for 2 mana.
Does this work with Rydia? Rydia's growth counters, not XP
Rydia's
counters.
growth counters. Yeah.
Growth
No,
counters.
but every time a Cat 4 enters the field,
it
gives Rydia a counter.
Yeah, from the natural ones. Yes.
But you're also naturally giving Rydia another +2k if you give Rydia the counters as well.
Yeah.
Which makes it just even harder to kill, which it doesn't need
Just
to be.
stacking different counters on the one Rydia. Give her all the different counters, she becomes Bart with all the jobs. Next card, 2-cost backup Monk. When Monk hits field, choose 1 forward, deal it 4k damage. If you control 5 or more backups, deal it 8k damage. I think this is just the backup for limited.
Oh no, this there's a backup that does this in C's play already.
Which one?
Palom. You ping your Megissa with this card. This is a standard unit Palom.
Megissa's 4,
This
not
is
5.
Megissa. Yeah.
This is Megissa. Yeah. Sorry, I was blanking out there. I thought Megissa was 5 for a second. Yeah. And you're no longer clashing with the Palom Porum anymore.
Also, this is standard unit, so if you have 2 of these, if you had 2 Paloms, you could play 1 Palom. If you have 2 of these, you could play 2 of these.
Yeah.
Quick upgrade on Palom.
Also very good for mono red, being that pinging 4 damage possibly could kill something if like left tillers on the field. It also provides it's a 2-drop backup that you can break with any of the cards that need a break. Susanoo, Vincent, Leonis, everything like that. And you're really not losing anything. And it's got multiple symbols.
It does, but I think in any situation other than pinging your own stuff for 4k, that you're not holding 5 backups to maybe do 8k. Like you can do that already with Mont Blanc.
Yeah, but it's a good turn 1. Like it's a good you won't regret playing this if this is in your opening hand for 0 value. I mean,
yeah, but there's a gazillion like right now standard units are generally really good across the board. You can run the Samurai engine. Even just the standard units, I call them the fast lands, the ones from Opus 20. Was it 3-cost, gain a crystal, draw a card if you have 3 or less backups?
Yeah.
Those are all really strong. Culinarians are better than this. Like if you were going for that, you could play 3 Culinarians.
Yeah, I do play Culinarians.
Yeah.
But like that's already 6 standard unit backups, and you're probably gonna play Selfie. You're probably gonna play like you've got Moody, you've got.
There's not a spot for it. I get what you're saying.
Like there's just better things to be doing outside of the fact that this pings your Megissa.
That's what I was thinking.
Is a better version of this card.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking originally, but then I forgot. Yeah, Megissa. So it works with Megissa, but I wasn't too far off on the initial. But I'm thinking there's so many other stuff that do just as well or more for quicker, and yeah.
Like if you're trying to make backups in mono fire, you're also running Mia and Mia, Mutsuki, and Carla. And like at some point, it's just like you don't. It's like those plus the 3 Culinarians. You can run, like I said, the Samurais. You can run.
Yeah, you're gonna add a lot more useless cards than what you need.
Yeah. So there's so many better backups in this.
All right, we've finished with fire, and we're moving on to ice.